Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Italian Football Podcast, the official podcast of Football Italia. I'm Carlo Gargnesi, joined as always by Nima Tavali. On today's show, we will review the weekend Serie A action, one game in particular. This should be quite interesting. Let's get the popcorn out. The Derby d'Italia hits the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Another massive refereeing controversy scandal as Inter beat 10-man Juventus 3-2. So much to talk about that game. So don't worry, that will be, I think, will be interesting viewing. Roma Napoli 2-2 on Sunday evening was a thrilling game, very interesting game to talk about as well. Milan are saved by the 40-year-old Luka Modric in Pisa. Fiorentina got a big win in their fight against relegation. There was lots of controversy throughout the Serie A again, not just in the Derby d'Italia. In particular, Gift Orban's sending off. It's a bit of a shit show in Serie A at the moment with the refereeing. We'll also preview the Champions League playoff this midweek. Juventus, Atalanta and Inter all playing, and we'll also have our usual Baggio, Premface and some spectacular Serie ASs of the week, as is to be expected with this Serie A. Right, if you want to support the Italian Football Podcast, receive all of our content that we do throughout the week without any ads, including our free Monday review show, our weekly Q&A episode, plus the Thursday midweek review show, plus interviews, post-match reaction, and much more, then go to patreon.com/TIFP. Become a subscriber for just $3.99 a month. You can also watch our free episodes and shorter clips on YouTube. And you can become a patron on YouTube membership. Just go to our YouTube channel on youtube.com/@itafootpod for more details. You can also sign up to be a paid subscriber on Spotify. So wherever you consume us, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, YouTube, we'd really appreciate if you give us a follow, a subscribe to us, like us, or give us a 5-star rating. And doing that really helps us to grow. If you've not already done so, do follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and on TikTok, where 17 people watched one of our videos last week. We do have 10,000 followers on TikTok, but that algorithm is more messed up than the Serie A referees. So, so there we go.
They completely screwed up the algorithm. Like, as soon as you use words that the algorithm considers controversial, it kills it. And it might not even have anything to do with that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, they've ruined that platform, to be honest. It's a shame. I thought it was a fun platform.
They sure. And the Serie A referees have ruined Serie A as well this season. So that's a nice little segue. So let's talk about Inter versus Juventus. So unfortunately, this game, we'll be discussing pretty much the referees for most of it. And Nima will maybe disagree with me, but another Serie A game, another scandal. Lots of layers to this, so let's try and focus individually on each one, because if we discuss everything all at once, it's just going to become really messy. There's about 6 or 7 huge talking points, all to do with the Kalulu red card, but they're all separate in a way and all combined. So we'll start off with the red card itself. The decision to send off Pierre Kalulu just before half time for a second yellow card on Alessandro Bastoni. On this incident, there's no doubt for me, it's a scandalous call, and Juventus have every right to feel aggrieved. It's not, there's two sides to this. First of all, Kalulu, and the second part, Bastoni. If we deal with Kalulu first, was it a second yellow? Then we'll talk about Bastoni and whether it was a dive and whether he should have got a second yellow. That's a separate part. So we'll talk about Kalulu first. Now, he puts his arm out, and there's no doubt about that. You can see that. But the touch is pathetic. It's a little tickle. It's not a second yellow. It's not a yellow card.
It's minimal touch. It's minimal touch. Like there's like you said, it's a minimal touch. It's a tickle. and Bastoni dives. And we have to be
Well,
honest.
let's get to the dive in terms of looking at it from Bastoni's point of view, But yes, you're right. It's a dive, but we'll get to that. What I want to discuss first was, should he have been sent off? For me, it's a scandal that he's sent off, and
it's a second yellow. It's not a straight red card.
But the fact that he gets a second yellow is a scandal, and it's really. I think Juventus have every right to feel aggrieved because, as we'll get to after, it was a fantastic game. The game was really finely poised. I thought Juventus were actually the better team up until that point.
I agree.
Doesn't mean Juventus necessarily would have won the game because the Inter have got more quality than Juventus, but they were the better team. They were. Tactically, I think Spalletti was getting the better of Chivu, 100%. And this completely conditions the game. And after that, really, there was only going to be one winner, even if, as we'll come to after, I thought Juventus played fantastically well afterwards to try and stick with Inter, but it conditions the game, and it's just, without getting into all the polemics, and there will be plenty that we'll get into, it's just really not fair on Juventus.
It reminded me when Spalletti was Inter coach and lost 2-3-2 to Juve at the San Siro after a ridiculous decision, after a ridiculous red card and a lack of a red card when Orsato was too close to the situation. So Spalletti's the Pjanic on Rafinha. This is Spalletti's like the red thread here. He's done this for both teams now.
Yeah, it's a shocking refereeing call to send him off because you can't make these kind of decisions forget about the how big a game it is, because every game's important, but this is obviously, there's a special rivalry here, but to make that decision in the 41st or 42nd minute, to give it, if you're going to send someone off, you need to be 100% sure, and you can't make a decision for and he was right there. He was well positioned as well. You can't say that he was miles away from the action or, he's right there, and it's just a terrible, terrible decision. So, that's it from that side. But then there's the second part of it, which is the Bastoni point of view. Did he dive? Yes, of course he dived. We'll get onto his reaction later. So let's not discuss that part yet. Let's just talk about his dive. Should he have, could you, as Sergei Cosmi said, I don't know why I'm quoting him, but should it be spun around and should he be sent off for diving? That's the question. Should it be, well, you take away the yellow and take
I look at it like this. Like I said, I think there are three indisputable facts. One is it's a counter-attacking situation. Kalulu sticks out his arm, not trying to play the ball. There is contact between Bastoni and Kalulu, and Bastoni exaggerates the contact and dives. Those are like the three things that are just not up for debate. They're just facts. So what that means is this then turns into either it's a tactical foul situation or it's a yellow card for a diving situation. Both of these laws are in the laws of the game. And so the referee has to make that decision what to do. Does he go with the tactical foul or does he go with a simulation and yellow card for that? And here is where I think Christina Unkel explained it very well from a refereeing point of view, that when it happens, the referee is cornered and he has to make a decision which, regardless of what he does, he's going to be criticized. Giving a yellow for that to Kalulu, going to get criticized, as he has been, and quite correctly so, because it's not a yellow card, in my opinion. If he gives it for diving, you could say that's also a controversial decision, because that happens all the time in matches, and it even happened in this game. It happened yesterday with Zeki, what's his name, the Brazilian wingback whose name eludes me, at Roma, when he pretended to get hit in the face and wasn't. See this. Wesley, thank you. Salamakers, even his quote the other week, I think it was, said, with VAR, every time I feel a touch, I go down in the penalty area and I stay as long as possible to win a penalty. Like, all players do this. So you're damned if you are, you're damned if you don't. Okay. Do I think so? But if it is a tactical foul, then the impact of the contact is irrelevant, because as referees have explained to us, when referees look at a tactical foul situation, they think this is considered to go so much against the grain of sportsmanship and the spirit of the game that it's an automatic yellow card, regardless. Personally, I don't think it was a yellow card. I think it's more of a yellow card for diving than it is for a tactical foul. That's just my opinion. I think the reactions, however, which we'll get to, have been completely over the top. I think it's like Chivu said, it's a dubbio. It's a mistake, but it's not as clear cut as people are making this sound. The reactions have been completely over the top.
Well, we'll get to that. I think that the Kalulu decision to send Kalulu off for a second yellow is scandalous. The decision
is wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. I call it scandalous. I don't consider it scandalous not to send off Bastoni for partly for the reasons that you said, but the decision to send Kalulu off for a tickle, just like it was scandalous to not give a penalty to Napoli for a tickle the week before. These are scandalous decisions. But for Bastoni, yeah, he got a touch, and in the moment, when you're running at full pelt and you feel a touch, you anticipate contact. Anyone that's played the game knows that.
That's what happens.
Sometimes that can happen. Sometimes, I still think it's a clear dive, and he's definitely.
It is definitely.
He definitely could get sent off for that. There's no doubt about it. That he's at risk of getting sent off. Massive risk of getting sent off. And maybe he should. That is the point. And maybe, or probably, he should have got sent off. But I don't think it's a big scandal that he didn't get sent off. I think it's a scandal that Kalulu got red carded. That's conditioned the game. That Juventus have now lost this game, and now, which they might not have done, and now they're risking top four, and there's big repercussions from this. That's a scandal. But anyway, we'll move on. Let's move on from here. I think that. I know we're going to talk about that later, but that is, for me, when a player, what Chivu was talking about, and he even mentioned Bastoni, is I tell my players to not even put themselves in that situation for the referee to have to make that call. And that is where the risk is. When you as a player like Bastoni and Kalulu take a risk, putting a referee in a position where he has to decide, is this a tactical foul or is it a dive? You're taking a risk. And regardless of what the referee does, you've put the referee in a situation to take that decision. And that's what he was criticizing. And I agree with that. Yeah, we'll come to Chivu, because I don't think.
But the point I wanted to make was this is the difference with Theo Hernandez against Feyenoord. He took a risk and he failed and he looked like an idiot. Kalulu took a risk. The cookie crumbled against him. He looks like an idiot because he shouldn't have had his arm out there. If he doesn't have his arm out there, this would never have happened.
No, I know, but
let me just. And equally, if Bastoni gets sent off for a second yellow there, he's the one with egg on his face for a stupid dive. So again, that's the point Chivu was making, and I agree 100% with that.
Yeah. We'll come to Chivu after. I don't think there was anything wrong with what Chivu said either, but we'll get.
No,
to
not
that.
wrong, but yeah.
We'll get to that because people have been unhappy with his words. But I think that at the end of the day, yes, he puts his arm out there, and that will give. They say you should always assume that people are stupid when you do anything in life. If that makes sense. Risk calculation. At the same time, anybody that's played football knows that there are little things that happen that are natural reactions. Just like it was a natural reaction, maybe partly for Bastoni to feel that contact, to anticipate contact and go down like that, anticipating bigger contact. It happens so quickly. But at the same time, it comes to the same with Kalulu, where a player cuts across you like that. And your first reaction is always to feel, in football, you feel contact, you feel the player, you do this, it's an instant reaction. So that's partly natural. But then it's up to the referee to decide from that, was that a foul or not? And it's a tickle. So it's not a foul. So, it's the referee's fault. We can't, we can say, yeah, he should have, not put the referee in that position. And maybe that's partly true. But this is football. This is what happens. At the end of the day, the referee's job is to make the decision whether it's a foul, and it's to make that decision is shocking. But anyway, let's move on to the league, the crisis in refereeing in the league, because because it's a clear crisis, and we're getting all the kind of like important people, including Luca Morelli, pretty much come out and say it's a crisis. And when that's happening, you know, when influential figures like Morelli are saying that the league, you know, there's a crisis with the referee and Graziano Cesare, you know, Rocchi himself came out and pretty much sort of acknowledged it.
Rocchi, this is the problem, and I feel I've been vindicated a lot this weekend, because on two things. I've said, I think, for over a year that Rocchi needs to be sacked, that he's not fit for purpose. He doesn't have what it takes to run this organization. And I think this season as a whole has proven that, because the referees are confused. It's literally every single game now. Every single game, you have referees looking confused, making weird decisions. They don't know what to do. They lack. It seems to me, having watched this league now, this entire season, when you're looking at one crazy decision after another, they look confused. They don't look certain. And that is because there's a man at the top who offers absolutely no clear direction. And whenever they make a mistake, he reacts to how the media and fans criticize, or coaches or presidents react. And then he goes out and throws the referee in question under the bus, sends him to Serie B, fines him, and then we have another weekend, and then we have another scandal. It's just, he has to go. He doesn't understand what he's doing. He has no ability to communicate internally. All of the referees look confused, and this can't continue.
No, this season, there has been, usually you'll get one or two scandals a season. In Serie A, there's genuinely, we're moving towards double figures. But for scandals, I mean, scandals a big word, right?
Yeah.
Now that's before you get to the decisions that's before you get to decisions which are maybe not scandals, but they're a bloody disgrace, you know, and shameful decisions and shocking decisions. And every week we're getting at least two or three of those, and we've probably had about 5 or 6 big scandals this season, and that's just, I mean, it's the league
every week.
The league is already in crisis, right? We know that, whether it's financial, whether it's the stadiums, whether it's the marketing, whether it's the Liga Serie A, whether it's how the league is run,
youth not playing,
the TV rights, the Italy national team at risk of not going to the World Cup. We've now just lost Calafiori and Raspadori for the playoffs, so it's been a bad weekend for Italian football. You know, it's already in crisis, let's say, and the referees are just making it even more of a clown show and a circus and a laughing stock. This is a weekend, by the way. We know that the Premier League, you know what I'm going to say here, but we know that the Premier League is the most popular league in the world by a mile, right? And we know that if there's a choice for a football fan to watch even Inter versus Juventus, which is a massive game between two teams that hate each other and fierce rivalry, and even if there's a choice between watching that and even a not particularly massive Premier League game, a lot of people are actually going to watch the Premier League game rather than Inter versus Juventus. Unfortunately, that's a sad reality, whether we like it or not. Okay? Now, this weekend, Serie A had no competition because the Premier League was not playing. They were playing a FA Cup, and where all the big teams play their reserves, and it was Mickey Mouse matches. So we had the whole window to the whole world here, and this is what we serve up. We serve an absolute embarrassment here with this game, and so it's like what we couldn't do more to destroy our league, could we?
It's just, they never ever pass on an opportunity to F things up, do they? Like it's hilarious, and I don't know what to say anymore. because it's every week. And then you have the Gift Orban situation, which I'm still scratching my head over. You have, it's just every single game. It's something crazy. It's something outlandish. It's something bizarre, and they look confused. No one understands what's going on, and just from the refereeing perspective, we need to have. I know that Colina has a cushy job with FIFA, and he's not going to leave it. But I wish he would come back and save the Italian Referee Association, because when it comes to any refereeing, or where someone is there to be a judge and apply the laws and rules of something, credibility is the currency. And I think he has the credibility. He has that currency in loads, in the sense that most people do consider him to be very credible. Most people consider him to be very professional. Most people consider him, and he commands respect. I would like to see him be in charge of this organization, to build it up and start setting up things in place, so that the referees feel comfortable, so the referees feel that they know what to do. Of course, there's going to be mistakes. There's refereeing mistakes everywhere, right? It's always going to happen. It's part and parcel of football. But the confusion and the lack of clarity, that's an organizational problem. And that's what we have in the Serie A right now.
Well, the thing is, I think Rocchi will surely have to go now.
There's no way.
Because, Juventus have publicly come out and called for his resignation. And I think that's significant. Chiellini come out. And I thought his words, some people picked out certain things. I thought what he said about the referees was fantastic. He said, I'll read it out what he said. He said, something completely unacceptable happened today. It doesn't matter whether it happens to us or someone else. And from tomorrow, presumably, VAR will have to change. We'll get to that in a minute. But because this is not acceptable that so many errors keep happening, even in big games like this. We've been trying to say since the start of the season, the level of refereeing is not up to task. And this, unfortunately, is a spectacle which we showed the rest of the world today, as I just said. It happened to many teams this season. We have to change. We cannot keep procrastinating. It has been since the start of the season that many clubs have been complaining the infrastructure is just not at the level of Serie A. I don't know if they're not trained properly, not up to task, whatever the reason. The fact is the referees are not up to the standard of Serie A football.
And they're not. They're not. They absolutely are not. And that lands on Rocchi. The buck stops with him. And it's not just this game. And I've been saying this for over a year on this podcast now, that he should go.
Yeah, you have.
I've said it.
You were one of the first. But I would add to that, and it's something that we both called for. Gravina needs to go as well, because Gravina, even though it might not be directly related to the referees, but Gravina needs to go as well. He's a complete shambles as well for the whole, because that's Italian football as a whole. Do you know what I mean? Everything, the fish, as you said yourself, the fish rots from the head. So
it's Chinese proverbs. It's not me. Yeah. It's Chinese proverbs.
Well,
it's an ancient saying. I can't take credit for. I can't take credit for ancient sayings from China, but it's Chinese proverbs. But
and you know what? It is a shame, because anybody that was watching this game, would have been watching that first 41, 42 minutes and thinking, what a fantastic game this is.
It had everything.
It had everything.
It really was.
It was really well poised, and it was a high quality game. There's sometimes you watch games which they might end up 3-2, but the quality's not the best. For example, I grew up in the 90s in the Premier League, and I loved watching the Premier League. It was amazing.
It was entertaining.
But the quality was not great. If you watch the defending, it's.
I think of Newcastle, Liverpool. Remember those 4-4?
Yeah, 4-3. It was amazingly entertaining to watch, but there was the quality, especially of the defending, really wasn't good at all. This wasn't like that. This was actually a quality game. Notwithstanding that what we will accept is not a high quality Serie A, but it was a fantastic game, and it was really excellent to watch. And this just ruined the game completely. And it decides the game, conditions game, and it's just that's what's really a shame. it does impact. These kind of things do impact the outcome of the season. Not so much. I mean, I think Inter will win the Scudetto. I thought that before the game. I thought that whatever happened from this game. So, but from Juventus's point of view, absolutely, because Roma are now above them. Juventus have a very tough run of games, and this kind of decision. So that's why I believe absolutely Juventus. We'll come to that after. I believe Juventus have every reason to feel aggrieved after
any
this.
team that is the receiving end of a bad decision like this has a right to feel aggrieved. There's no doubt about that. But it depends on how you handle it. But we'll talk about that later. But
yeah, well, let's talk about VAR.
The VAR. I don't know for how many years you and I have both said on this pod that when it comes to a second yellow, it should be able to be reviewable by the VAR. I think maybe 3 years, 2 years. Again, I don't know what to say. We've said
the point is this, right? VAR, whether you're for it or against it, VAR is supposed to eliminate those really big, scandalous, game-changing or tournament change, the condition games.
Yeah,
the big ones. The big ones like, was it a penalty where the player dives and he's not even 2 yards, the defender's not even 2 yards away from him? Or, a red card where, Zidane headbutts Materazzi, the referee misses it, and the VAR sees it and makes the right decision. That is what is supposed, and game-changing decisions which condition and decide games, which a red card does. A red card in the 41st minute of a game, more likely than not, will decide the outcome of a game. It will. That's what VAR is for. So if VAR can't make the decision on that, then it's a joke. It's ridiculous.
No, it needs to be able to do that. It's as simple as that. I think if it's a second bookable offense, the VAR should always check it, because it's not just a yellow card. It has more repercussions on the match itself, and it is a deciding decision. It's a decisive decision. It really impacts the remainder of the game in a way, because you're down to 10 men, and so I really think there is scope to change here. And again, we've said it for 2-3 years here, so I don't know what to say. Just repeat everything we've said. Like, this is the thing that pisses me off the most, is not just like, it's so predictable. These things are so predictable. They keep happening. It's not like both of us are sitting here with a crystal ball, or that we're saying things that are revolutionary. We're stating the obvious. We've been stating the obvious for 3 years.
We're not reacting to something that's happened for the first time. Do you know what I mean?
We've been saying it for years. It's completely predictable, and it's completely avoidable. And that's the broader talking point to me. The situation itself, just to be clear, Bastoni dives. The contact is leggero, as Chivu said. It's stupid by both of them. The referee has a fraction of a second to react, and he goes with a wrong decision. But that's just where we are, and it's Inter and Juve, and so you end up with situations afterwards, which is what I want to talk about now, because
well, let's talk about Bastoni first.
Okay. Cool.
Let's talk about Bastoni first. Let's talk about the dive first, then we'll talk about the reaction. Let's say this. Let me pose this question to you on everything. Is Bastoni a winner or a diver for his actions? Should the way that he dived, the way that he celebrated the red card, should his actions as a whole be seen as, this is somebody who is just fighting for his team and has achieved something in the game that's going to basically help his team win the game? Should he be celebrated for being crafty, for being football, or should it be seen as cheating?
Luckily, I have Giorgio Chiellini to refer to in his book, in his autobiography. He says, and I quote, "On the pitch, I'm a great son of a bitch, and I'm proud of it. Le malizie fanno parte del calcio. Trickery is part of football. I don't even call it foul play. To overcome your opponent, you have to be crafty. That's what Chiellini did for a decade, his entire career. And I had no problem with it because for me, fa parte del gioco. It's part of the game. This is part of the game. And it applies to Salamakers, it applies to Bastoni, it applies to Totti, it applies to Chiellini, it applies to everyone. That's part of the game. But, as Chivu said, if you put yourself in that position, you're taking a risk. And the risk is you can do a Theo Hernandez against Feyenoord. You look like an idiot if you fail and get sent off and you let down your teammates. And that is what Chivu was referring to, that you shouldn't even put yourself in that situation. And he even used Bastoni as an example in the Liverpool game. I told him after the game, you shouldn't put yourself in a position where the referee even has to make that call. And I agree 100% with that. That's that one side of it. The other side of it is this.
What about celebration? How would you react to the celebration?
I was just about to get to that. I come from a generation where Inter captains were Bergomi and Zanetti, where Milan's captain was Maldini. I've never seen, and I don't think I would ever see, any of those players behave like that. You just wouldn't. It's just not who they are. And I've been saying I think Bastoni should be captain of Inter. Well, I was wrong on that because the captain of Inter should not behave like that. I think it's wrong. I think it's unnecessary. I know that he loves Inter, he fights for the cause and all of that, but the celebration was unnecessary. It was really unnecessary. This is what Barcelona did against Inter in that semi-final, where Mourinho went over to Pep and said the famous words as he was talking to Ibrahimovic. You can stand here and explain to him next week. He'll still not understand what you're saying, which is hilarious as a side note. Mourinho doing Mourinho. But I don't think that's how Inter's captain should behave. And I don't think that's how an Inter player should behave. I really don't think so. That's just my personal opinion. But is he entitled to doing it? Yes. Which brings me to the next thing. I feel I've been vindicated when I've been saying that there is a big part of the Italian establishment media, the Italian establishment in terms of decision makers, that have a giant problem with the best Italian players, ergo the foundation of the current Italian-Italy setup, being Inter players. When I see them calling the Gazzetta, Capuano, people on Corriere dello Sport, on Tutto Sport, on all these outlets saying that he should be cancelled from the Italy national team because of this. Again, but Alessandro Bastoni did not dope, did not take drugs. Alessandro Bastoni did not racially abuse anyone. Alessandro Bastoni was not caught match fixing. Alessandro Bastoni was not caught punching another player. Alessandro Bastoni did not bet on football, did not bet on his own game. What he did was celebrate a red card after diving. Something that Giorgio Chiellini did, something that lots of players do, and they want to cancel him from the Italy national team. That is just... I mean, it's a mask-off moment for them. They have a problem with the Inter players being the core of the Italy national team. And that is a mask-off moment for them. And it shows that they're not journalists. And unfortunately, and this gives me no joy, because the reason I wanted to become a football journalist covering Italian football was because all my idols in Italian in football journalism are without a doubt Italian journalists, legendary Italian journalists. The way that they used to report, the way that they used to tell a story, the way that they used to, the way that the level of journalism was so high, and now it's in the shithouse. And that gives me no joy.
Look, lot to unpack there. First of all, I sort of, I mean, I guess I agree with you on that is not befitting. That behaviour of the celebration is not befitting of a captain. I mean, you mentioned Chiellini there. Chiellini definitely never celebrated getting someone sent off. Never. He never celebrated getting sent off. He might have celebrated winning a free kick, in the last minutes where he dived and things like that. He never ever, celebrated that. That's not the man he is. I've met him. I've spoken to him. He's a fantastic person. He's different on the pitch. Of course he was. He was a warrior. He was furba. He dived. He put some kicks in. He pulled Saka back. He was cynical. Of course he was, but he certainly was an honourable man. He was an honourable man. He never has, and he never. So I have to come back on that. But with regards to his actions, yes, I think that while I agree with you, I say that I agree with you that it wasn't befitting. I do think it has been, like you said. I think that the reaction to what Bastoni did, both the dive and the celebration, has been way overboard. It's at the end of the day, it's the referee that should be and the refereeing that should be that everybody should be taking their anger out on. Number one, they're the ones that are to blame for this scandalous decision. Not Bastoni. Yes, it wasn't nice. Yes, he should be smarter, because the way that people react, whether they're the opposition fans or whether it's the media. The media loves, whether it's goes as deep as you say, there might be an element of truth. I don't know, but the media react to this way. They would have done it if it was a Juventus player or a Milan player. The media reacts this way to controversy, and he should be smart and think, if you celebrate like that way, you're going to get hammered for it. But also, he should be smart, because, and this is what I'm really worried about, is Italy have an important playoff next month.
Exactly.
And by doing that, what the reaction is going to be. And my worry is, how does this impact next month? The fact that people are caught, which is, while it's ridiculous, the fact that there's a lot of people that are caught, including fans, not just the media, but including fans, that are saying he shouldn't play for Italy again. He shouldn't play for Italy in this game. We can't be divided. Our football is already too divided as it is. And we're going into this playoff game where fans of Inter and fans of like Milan and Juventus fans, many of them are going to hate Bastoni now for his actions, right or wrong. They're going to hate him. We can't have division from the fans. Will there be division between him and the teammates? I don't think there will be, but it's still not ideal. It's still not ideal. The pressure that's going to be, it's the media. That's what they're going to be asking before the game. They're going to be asking questions about Bastoni, when it should be complete focus on getting us to the World Cup.
Exactly.
That is where Bastoni should have been smarter. But
yes,
he's done it now, and that's where I think that you're right. That's not something that a captain would do. A captain would be smarter and be more of a leader.
I don't think I would have seen Del Piero do it. I don't think there's no way that Del Piero, Zanetti, Bergomi, Baresi, Maldini would have done that. And those are the ones that that's the level of a captain that I hold. That's for me is the level. That's where you should be if you're a captain of Inter. And I've always thought that he should have been the captain, but no. Not when you do that.
I do think that the reaction has been widely over the top. The fact that he's getting death threats and that happens. I've had them. You've had them. The fact that he's getting death threats and people going after his family.
10 a.m. It's 10 a.m. I've been sent 5 death threats this morning on Twitter already. So like for me, it's like. Like wake up.
But that's where you have to be smart as well. You say you do stupid things, you're going to get stupid people reacting stupidly to you. That's where you have to be smart. And so with regards to just on the wider issue on the Italy national team and the targeting of Inter, I think it is true. I'm going to disagree on the whole establishment thing. We've been there. I don't want to go on that debate again. But the whole targeting of Inter, I do think it's true that the media are going after the Inter players, the Italy national team. I agree with you there. I don't think it's anything to do with establishment, Steve. I think they are going after them. But I think it also goes both ways. I think that they're an easy target. They're an easy target, the Inter players, for Italy struggling because they're the big players. They're struggling, but they also haven't been playing well themselves. Barella hasn't been playing well for Italy. Bastoni hasn't. So in a way, it's kind of deserved, but they're also an easy target because when the national team is struggling, you're going to go after the big name players first if they're performing badly. You're not going to go after fucking Lorenzo Luca or someone like that. Do you know what I mean? So I think that it goes both ways. Yes, they're probably being over targeted, but also, their performance probably warrant criticism. And
the performances warrant criticism, but the cancellation. This is Italian.
Well, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. But cancel culture.
Cancel culture generally is pathetic. But this is it's just been such an overreaction, and that's why yesterday I was just laughing. The histrionics on display was pure comedy, and I thought it was funny. I'm sorry. It's funny. Like, I'm not laughing with them. I'm laughing at them because it was just embarrassing.
I just think what frustrates me about, and maybe I think I've grown up a lot in the last few years when it comes to this. But what frustrates me so much, right? And we've spoken separately. And I blame you, and I think you make the same mistake sometimes, right? And I said this to you last week, is when you get a controversial game like this, a scandal like this during this game, everybody always has to go and do, but what about this? And what about the history here? And what about that? Why can't we just focus on this individual game, the scandal of this game, all the different instances? Like we've done, I think we've done pretty well so far. We haven't had any big arguments yet. But
people are going to be so disappointed.
They are. So
we failed.
Why can't we just focus on this game? Was this a scandal? Was the decision right or wrong? What was the reaction?
Of course it was the wrong decision.
Was the reaction? Was the Bastoni reaction right or wrong? Was the why can't we everybody just focus on that rather than have to pollute and complicate the argument? And I'm not blaming you specifically for this because
no, but I have an
idea for that. It's so inspiring, and it doesn't.
You have a point. I think you have a point. But the broader point is, and you are right, that why can't we just talk about this? And that's true. And I think we have talked about it. But the reason why this discussion ends up like that, and the broader context is because when you have there's history and there's bad blood, and one side argues that they done nothing wrong, the other side says we've done nothing wrong. When there's no acknowledgement of mistakes having been made, and both sides are pretty good at the holier than thou thing, but when there is no acknowledgement,
I think that's a problem, isn't it, with Italian football? Yeah, I mean, and I'm talking both sides.
That will. I mean, when Chiellini comes out and says the things he does, after all of us having remembered him as a player, you see, that's the connection.
Well, you see, that brings us on nicely to Chivu's words. See, because I think it goes both ways there again. Because Chivu's words.
What did he say?
I've no issue with Chivu. Well, people believe that Chivu should have just come out and been honest and say, look, it wasn't a yellow card. It was a wrong decision. We benefited from a bad decision. Now, which would be telling the truth. But I've no issue with Chivu's words. Chivu's the manager of Inter. Chivu has to support and defend his players. And that's what he's done. I also think there was actually...
he criticizes his own play. Like, that's the thing. People have not even listened to what he said. He's literally saying, and using Bastoni as an example, that I told him after the Liverpool game, whether or not it was the right or wrong decision, that's his broader point. That the
I think it was very smart. I think that was very intelligent. Yeah, I think it was very intelligent. He probably... I think people have an issue. I think people have an issue that he didn't just come out and also say, look, this was a terrible decision we benefited from. I'm not saying he should have said that. I'm saying people are saying he should have also, as well as those intelligent words, he should have come out and said, look, we got a decision go our way today, which was the wrong, we're lucky. We got a decision that was a terrible decision. and we've won the game from it. And this happens in football sometimes. We got lucky today. I think people would have respected him more for saying that. But what I'm saying to that is, I've no issue with Chivu not saying that, because Kivu's the Inter manager. Kivu's supposed to defend his players, is supposed to defend his team, and has to say things and do things that are going to make Inter get the best out of Inter going forward. If Chivu comes out and says, we're lucky, we got cheated, that might affect Inter going forward. It might mean the next game they get a decision go against them. Or it might mean that the players don't respect him for saying and not backing them up fully, and especially in the heat of the moment. So I have no issue with what Chivu said. But equally, the people that are criticising Chiellini and Comolli and Spalletti for what they said, for the way they confronted the referee. Yes, you can say, just like you could say with Chivu, maybe they shouldn't have gone about it in that way. Maybe they shouldn't have been so aggressive. But equally, I would say I fully support what they did, because they are defending their team. They've seen a scandalous decision go against them they knew was going to cost them the game, and they are defending their team. And I think Juventus fans and the Juventus players will respect that and think, yes, finally we've got some directors that are actually defending us. And that will. So, at the end of the day, you've got to look at it from these side of incidents. You've got to look at it from the perspective of the team. What is good for the team and the club going forward? So I have no issue with what Chivu said, and I think
I think what he said was not just intelligent; it was incredibly mature. It's the way he communicates, and that's something that I've said on this pod for many months now. And his way of handling issues and problems and crises, be they external or internal, is second to none. He's really world class at this. The way that he communicates and handles crises. What he said was he makes it clear to the Inter players, I don't want you doing these things. He makes that clear. But equally, he also says that, and he criticized, he even used Bastoni as an example in the Liverpool game, that regardless of the decision itself, you should never put the referee in a position to have to make that call. So just risk minimize. And he also says that it's been football for 100 years. This has happened time and time again. And that's the broader point. And I agree with that. And I think he handled it masterfully. And the criticism against him is, I'm sorry, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. It's ridiculous. He didn't come out like Mourinho and do what Mourinho usually does in these situations. And I think that's a very mature, intelligent, and modern and world.
Yeah, listen, I've no issue. I have no issue with it, because at the end of the day, a manager or a player is if they're doing their job properly, is never going to come out and admit that their team got a decision. They're not generally. You might get the odd one, but I don't think it's the right thing to do.
And the funny thing is that Mourinho actually is the manager who does these things. He actually does apologize, and he does admit, yeah, we got a decision.
I think it depends on the context. If Inter are 10 points clear and they've got this, I mean, I think they're going to win.
I remember when Mourinho was the manager
then you do it, because you've got nothing to lose. But it's
you remember when Mourinho was at Real Madrid against Man United and they got that decision, and he came out and said the best team did not win today, and and Sir Alex Ferguson was foaming at the mouth, and like he's done this time and time again.
That's different. I mean, I think Mourinho.
That's not the leadership style that Chivu has. He has a different leadership style, and he has a much more kind of, I don't even want to go near that. Like, you should put this.
I think Mourinho did that to motivate his players, wanting them to play better in the next game. He's always got an agenda, but he's
also on. My point is that he always talks about, he wants to portray himself as an honest man, and therefore he concedes when he needs to, because he wants to buy respect that way. Chivu is a completely different type of man. And this is how he does it. And I think the criticism against him has been pathetic. I really do. I don't think he said anything wrong. He was making a broader point. He was making a broader argument. And what people don't understand is what they've done now, and the way that Chivu handled it. They have united Inter in a way that, like, after the death threats to Bastoni, after the overreaction, of the media saying he should be cancelled and all that, and Chivu's way of handling it and the criticism against him, they have now united Inter.
But that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do when these things happen. Juventus, I would hope that Juventus are also united by this.
They
by
are
this
now.
scandal
They absolutely
as well.
are.
I think the look watching how they performed with 10 men. I think angry. That Juventus, let's speak very quickly about the game because we have to move on.
Yeah, I want to talk about the game.
But Juventus should be very proud of their performance, both before and especially after the red card. Yes, they were just having to defend and launch the odd counter-attack. That's all they could do, unfortunately, away at San Siro against this quality Inter team. But the way that they defended so well, so organised, Bremer was outstanding, and they still managed to fight back for the 2-2. Was really impressive. And let's be honest, if it wasn't for Di Gregorio, they would have got a draw in this game. And I said it last Monday. I said it before this happened. Di Gregorio is not good enough for Juventus. He's gifted into
my notes.
The first and third goal he's gifted them. We know that Di Gregorio is a massive Inter fan. We know that he believes that Samir Handanovic is a greater goalkeeper than Gianluca Buffon. Well, this game, Di Gregorio looked like an Inter fan in this game.
No, he looked like Handanovic. He looked like Handanovic towards the end of his career. Like the 2 goals that he concedes are Handanovic goals that he concedes. And I think you're right. I don't think he's up to par to play for a Milan, Inter, or Juve. He really isn't. I think we can say that. And I think this further accentuates the disaster that Giuntoli was at Juve when instead of signing Calafiori and instead of doing what you said, keep Szczesny for another year and spend that money elsewhere on where they actually needed to, is a problem. And it just shows what a failure it is. And I saw a stat in the Gazzetta. I haven't been able to fact check it because I don't trust anything they publish anymore. But what they said was, in the last 5 years, the difference in net spending between Inter and Juve is 365 million euros in Juventus's favor. But the difference in points in the Serie A last 5 years is 65 points, I think, between Inter and Juve. That is the issue at Juve. And that's something that you've been talking about. We've been talking about on this pod for many years now. And I think you've been vindicated on that. There's no discussion that Juve have just got everything wrong. And I think that's also part of the reason why they are this angry. Because when you F up and these things happen, it triggers you even more because you're already annoyed and angry and pissed. This just makes it worse. And I think, there's so much to talk about the game itself, which I unfortunately won't have time to talk about because of this nonsense.
All I want to say about Juventus is that Spalletti continues to do a fantastic job, and he's getting the best out of players who are not good enough for Juve. And
Locatelli is Juve's best midfielder under Spalletti.
Locatelli was outstanding. Some of his passing, his long range passing, and was fantastic. He scored a great goal. I think Spalletti's doing a great job. And the only last thing I want to say about Juventus is, first of all, they just have to try and use this to try and push forward now. They're playing catch up now on Roma, and that's the biggest kind of injustice of this, that they're now playing catch up and Roma are playing good.
It's
and
just
it's going to be a battle. Yeah, but Roma are playing well. Roma are playing well, and Juventus. So it is a battle. I would just say that I think Juventus have had quite a lot of bad luck under Spalletti. Like, they're doing well, but the games against Lecce, Cagliari, and Lazio, they deserve to win all of them. And they had some really bad luck in those games where they had so many shots and then just kind of like bad defensive mistakes or a bad moment or a bad decision from the ref cost them with getting all the points. Partly that's also down to a lack of quality from players making mistakes, like Di Gregorio, making a mistake, and then against Inter, they concede such a freak, the first goal. It's a freak goal, which Di Gregorio should have saved. It's a big deflection.
It's a howler
from the goalkeeper. Then you get a scandalous red card, which conditions the game. So they've been unlucky. But they just have to keep going because, this bad luck has to turn around. And usually, like I said with Inter at the start of the season, if your stats and your underlying stats continue and your performance continues to be as good as it is, it will turn around. They just have to hope that they don't run out of time, because there's not that many games left, and they're playing catch up.
It's only 13.
They have some tough away games still as well. So it's all to play for. Juventus just have to try and use this for their advantage going forward.
Just a point on Inter, and I agree with everything you said. Just a point on Inter to end that is, if we look at the game itself, this was yes, it was finally a big game won, and it was a big game won in a big game where Inter probably didn't deserve to win. A draw, perhaps you can say, Juve deserved at least a point based on how they played, because I think Juve were better than Inter. And again, how Inter are carved open in midfield is a worry. I think Juventus, even with 10 men, controlled the midfield, and I don't like that. I don't like that from an Inter perspective. But equally, one thing that I thought was very interesting is the number of minutes Pio Esposito, Thuram, and Lautaro played together, which suggests to me that Inter are definitely moving to a 3-4-2-1 next season. And they need to sign players to play like that, especially in as a goalkeeper, because they need to sort that out, and defensively. And it's going to be very interesting to see how they handle that dynamic. And also, for both Juve and Inter, Cambiasso and Luis Enrique played 1-1 in incompetence with one another for both those goals. Cambiasso is not tight enough on Luis Enrique for the first goal, and Luis Enrique is nowhere near Cambiasso for his equalizer. Yeah. And that is a problem for both of them.
Yeah,
but other than that, but just as a balance to that, Inter have lost games in big matches where they probably didn't deserve to lose. This time around, the cookie crumbled differently. And I think this is, it's, if Inter now need to manage, I think this was massive in terms of the Scudetto. Inter now have to manage games until they reach the derby the first weekend in March, which is going to be very, very spicy.
Yeah, I think now with this, I think Inter will win the Scudetto comfortably. But what I agree with you there is, having watched this performance, even against kind of like 10 men, and watching Juventus kind of be the better team in the first half, with a team that, Spalletti's getting the best out of them, but player for player, I'm not anywhere close to Inter's level. I can't see. I hope I'm wrong. I can't see Inter going deep in Europe. I don't think they're strong enough.
Agreed.
I don't.
I think they're a little bit too old.
I hope I'm wrong, because it would be good for Juventus if Inter go deep, because it might give us a chance of getting a 5th place. So I hope all the Italian teams go far, but I don't think any of them will. To be honest,
I don't think so. I think you're right, and I think they're Inter a little bit too easily carved open in midfield, and they were against Sassuolo, they were again here, and I think that's a problem when you play a Bayern Munich or a Barcelona or a Real Madrid or a City or whatever, or Arsenal or whatever.
Yeah. And against big teams, the defense is too easily carved open as well. Let's talk about. Well, we're gonna have to go quickly.
No shouting, no arguing, no nothing. We failed. We failed.
I'm kind of surprised, but yeah. Right. Listen, we're going to have to go quickly through the rest of the show. I apologise for this, because I have to get to work in 15 to 20 minutes. So, right. Pisa Milan. I mean, Modric saves Milan. Winner, 5 minutes to go. Becomes the 3rd oldest Serie A scorer ever. But Milan again struggle against the team, at the bottom of the league. They shouldn't be struggling so much against these teams. But, they got the win this time. I do blame Allegri a little bit again for this. Why he's playing for the 1-0? Well, why is he playing for the 1-0 when they're so much the stronger team? Pisa didn't really impress me with it. I mean, it's the first game with the new manager, Hiljemark, didn't impress me. I thought they were really flat and just they didn't even go for it at all. They didn't try and attack. But yeah, they kind of invited Pisa on. Pavlic made a mistake. It's 1-1, and you think, well, Modric saved it. So that's that. But what I want to ask you about, because I know this is something that makes you really angry. Nicholas Füllkrug, who actually had an outstanding penalty record before this. He'd scored 27 and missed 2 of his penalties before this game, although he hadn't taken one since he left Germany. He didn't take one for West Ham. that was a bad penalty. He did the old hop, skip, jump. Nima, what do you say to this?
Must end. This woke nonsense must end. Like Brexit penalties for the win. Top corner. Put your laces through it, son. Seriously, like I'm fed up of these hop, skip, cutesy little woke penalty nonsense. Just put it into the top corner. Put power and control. You know, like you have an 80% chance of scoring if you put it hard and high, and he doesn't, and he misses the goal entirely. And it's just like it's dumb. I hate these penalties. I really
Not only is it not only is it a woke penalty, but it's a very un-German penalty. Like the Germans, the
Germans are woke now.
Yeah, exactly. That's when you know that this world is completely, as I said the other day, we know that the world is doomed forever. When the Germans are taking woke penalties, you know that it's all over for this world, isn't it? I mean, you'd never get a blonde-haired, blue-eyed German take a penalty like that, would you? But yeah, I mean, yeah, it was. I've seen Fulcrum get a lot of criticism. People sort of like using him as an example of a stick to beat Serie A with. That we've got a player like him leading the line for Milan. But nothing else to say. There's been some controversy over Rabiot's red card. What he got sent off for, which I still don't quite know. What is it that he got sent off for, Rabiot? I'm not quite clear.
It's the second yellow, isn't it? It's not straight red. So
yeah, there's been controversy from Milan fans. I'll be honest, I don't quite know what it was, but yeah,
I don't know what the controversy is about. He does something stupid. You know, he again, players on one yellow card should be more careful. And I don't think it's a scandal or anything like that. I think it's, you know, he did something stupid. He got away. You know, when you risk it, you risk losing, and you risk being penalized. And he risks it. He's on one yellow there. So, you know, you do that, you get sent off. Simple as that.
Right, Napoli, Roma. This was a great game, and I wish we could talk about this for longer. But Roma were really impressive in this game. I thought they were the better team until Alisson Santos came on. I thought Malen, great performance. He's been a great signing, 2 goals. Juventus, it would have been great for Juventus to have him in attack. He's been really fantastic.
Malen has been fantastic. But I think the reason why Malen is fantastic is because of the way Gasperini plays and the way that Gasperini uses him. He was a constant threat. His movement, he just interprets that number 9 role so brilliantly. And you know, if you're a Roma fan, you're so annoyed that why didn't they try to get him in the summer? Why didn't they buy him in the summer? They probably would have had a couple of more points, potentially even some sort of crazy twist of fate, even be in the Scudetto race, if we're perfectly honest, because the defense has been outstanding. But they have been lacking in attack. I thought Roma were brilliant, and Malen has just been so good. And Roma, I wonder now who finishes 4th, because Roma look very solid. They really do. And Gasperini is good at getting teams that perhaps qualitatively aren't a top 4 side to finish in the top 4. He's got experience from this. But then equally, so does Spalletti. He also knows how to finish in the top 4. And also, watch out for Atalanta.
Atalanta are they're only 4 points behind Juve now, so they're right back with it.
As I keep saying, since Palladino took over, Atalanta are going to throw their hat in the ring here.
Yeah, Roma are in a great place because they're playing really well, and they're above Juventus, and they've got Cremonese at home before they play Juventus at home, and Juventus play Como next. So it's
Roma, Juve.
Roma can put Juventus out of the equation if results go their way in these next 2 games.
Yeah.
So it's that's
the Roma Juve game. If you're talking about shit shows, that's gonna be.
Well, there you go. That's a massive game, and I'm sure the referee will decide that somehow, one way or the other. But yeah, listen, Napoli. I have to say that. I mean, their unbeaten home record stays. They were poor in this game until one man completely changed the game, and that's Alisson Santos. He was absolutely fantastic when he come on. electric. I watched a bit of this guy for Sporting, and and he was so exciting to watch, but his end product was a letdown. He didn't score enough goals, didn't get enough assists. It was his end product, but the raw qualities that this player has are incredible. He's so quick. He's such a great dribbler. He beats his man. He's just exciting. He's direct. This sub performance from him was absolutely outstanding. It was the performance of the weekend, even though it was only a small, a short cameo. It was only like 13 minutes. He scored a great goal. He was going past Mancini. I mean, fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and yeah, one to watch. Let's see what without him.
Another player who you can see why Conte, like, again, just like Vergara. Now you have this guy, and you see, I remember when everyone was saying that Conte can't work with young players, and you and I were the only ones pretty much who said, no, he can if they do what he wants them to do. And I think once again, he shows that inexperienced players, not just young players, but inexperienced players, he can improve them if they listen to his instructions, if they do what he wants them to do. He is a fantastic manager who improves players. For both of us, we believe that when the hallmark of a great manager is how much he improves players and how much he gets the most out of average players. And Conte, although this season has been very disappointing, they're not gonna win the Coppa Italia, they're not gonna win the Scudetto, they're out of Europe. It's a very disappointing season, but they're gonna finish in the top four. But the silver lining in an otherwise rather disappointing season, and we have to say that, is that Napoli have been able to deliver players that nobody thought were going to do anything, be of any importance.
The positive is that they've got a group of players there where if they keep them together next season, especially younger players that are coming through, that there is an exciting pool of players there.
There really is.
It's just the injuries of, as well as like Conte, obviously his age-old problem of not being able to manage two competitions. But I think 100%. Number one, the injuries have killed them, because if it wasn't for the injuries, they wouldn't be 11 points off the top of the table. They might not necessarily be top of the table, but they'd be close because they've got the quality. So it is what it is, and they got another injury in this game as well with Rachmani. They need to have like a crisis commission where they go through and wonder what the hell is going on, because there's too many injuries. Is it the fact that this group of players, the experienced ones, are physically no longer able to play Conte ball, and at which point you decide, okay, is it time to get rid of Conte or is it time to get rid of these players? I think you have to do one or the other. When you have this level of injuries on experienced players, something has to give here. Yeah, for sure. Billy Gilmore back though, and actually Napoli looked better with him there as well. So it just shows when they have all their players together. I think there is player for player. They're up the level with Inter. I do believe that. Agree.
I don't think they're as good as Inter, but they're not far off. To put it to you that way, I think they do overall, and also
because they've had so many injuries, people forget how much quality Napoli have. Because of
also how well these players actually do adapt and are adaptable and suit Conte's style of football as well. I think people forget that too. So we'll see what happens. I still have my doubts that Conte stays. I think it would be a mistake if he left. I hope he stays for another season. I think that would be the wise decision, but I'm not sure that that's going to happen.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe they throw the league completely, get out of Europe, and then win the Scudetto next season again under Conte.
Who knows?
Right, Como Fiorentina, 2-1 to Fiorentina away. Massive win for Fiorentina in the relegation fight, and they played a really good game, deserved win. And Como a bit disappointing in this game. Fabregas very critical of Fabregas for getting himself sent off, and he said. Probably the truest thing that Fabregas has ever said. Provocation is part of football. Those who can't live with that should play another sport. I expect much more from an experienced player like him. Morata's been flop of the season.
He really has.
He's been the flop of the season.
He has literally been the bidone of the season, the worst signing and the flop. He's been dreadful.
He's been a disaster in every single possible way.
Yeah, he really has. And
Como are still in there for the top four after Juventus' loss, so they're right back in there, and they play Milan this week. So
that is going to be decisive in so many ways.
Milan and Juventus, so it's
I mean, it's going to be decisive for the Scudetto, because I think if Milan drop points in this game, I think Inter 100, like that's over then. That's the Scudetto race done. Because if you go into that derby where Inter have 7 points cushion and Milan have to attack, I mean,
no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Yeah, for sure. Then we have Lazio Atalanta, as we said. Atalanta win 2-0 comfortably. And they're, as we said, right in the top four race. They're only 4 behind Juventus, 5 behind Roma. And they're right in this. They do have a hard schedule though between now and the end of the season.
They do.
It's they still have.
But again, experience matters in these situations, and I think Atalanta have the experience in that squad to finish in the top 4. They've been in this situation before, and that's why I've been banging on the drum for months now that don't discount Atalanta from the top 4 race.
They've lost Raspadori though. They've lost Raspadori to an injury for quite a while. He'll miss the playoffs for Italy. So
which is bad. Scamacca and Raspadori together is something that I for one was very much looking forward to see what they can do. But I mean, there's always next season.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lazio are a shambles. They were lucky to draw against Juventus. They conceded 34 shots. They got everything they deserved here. So it is what it is. The rest of the fixtures: Udinese 1, Sassuolo 2, Cremonese 0, Genoa 0. I mean, Cremonese they can't buy a goal at the moment. They really can't. Although they actually did create more in this game than they had done recently, and they should have scored. Parma 2, Hellas Verona 1, and Torino 1, Bologna 2. Gift Orban. Straight red card for saying something to the ref. Hellas have done a silenzio stampa. Nothing seems to have leaked out as to what exactly he said. There's been some talk that he insulted God, maybe, but I don't know. If that is the case, then that just
blasphemy in big 2026. Big 2026. We're sending people off for blasphemy.
I don't know if that's true because he's Nigerian. He's Nigerian. I'm not sure whether he would say something.
And he's very religious as well.
That's what I mean. So I'm not sure whether he would say that because Nigerians are amongst the most religious Christians there are. I don't think they would say that.
They would never take the Lord's name in vain. Like that's just not how they're raised. Like it's just not how you talk. No. If you've ever had any Nigerian friends, or that they would never it's just not acceptable in Nigerian society to take the Lord's name in vain. So I don't know what it is he's done there, but it's a weird. I don't understand why he was sent off. I really don't, and it would be nice to understand what it was he was sent off for. Because I don't understand. Again, another stupid, insane, inexplicable refereeing decision that has everyone scratching their heads.
Yeah, for sure.
I just have to say, Sassuolo's 2 goals against Udinese, the first one in particular, beautiful, wonderful team goals, wonderfully worked team goals. Grosso's doing some interesting work at Sassuolo for sure. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out on Fabio Grosso. He looks good. He's playing well. He's doing well. He's doing interesting things, to put it to you that way. So yeah.
And there's still on Monday. We're recording this before
Cagliari Lecce. So everyone has to watch this. Come on, that is going to be spicy.
Yeah, Lecce probably need to try and get some points here because
they need a point.
Yeah, after Fiorentina's win, No,
100%.
Yeah. Okay, right. Champions League in midweek. So we've got Galatasaray, Juventus on Tuesday, Borussia Dortmund, Atalanta on Tuesday as well. Bodo Glimt, Inter on Wednesday. This is the first leg of the first playoff knockout round. Yeah, I think we've done a preview already a couple of weeks ago when the fixtures were made. We saw Dortmund as favourites. We saw Galatasaray, Juventus as kind of slightly Juventus favourites. I would make Juventus slight favourites given the way that they're playing, but Galatasaray are very tough. I'm talking about the tie as a whole. I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
And Inter, no excuses at all. I don't want to hear anything about but it's a frozen.
No, they have to. They have to.
No
they have to
excuses.
beat Bodo. They have to win against Bodo Glimt Inter. But there is something I am concerned about, and that is, I was raised in Scandinavia. I'm literally looking out the window. I see half a yard of snow, and it's minus 15 degrees. That's the temp. That's where Inter are coming to, because Glimt, they play even further northern up than Stockholm is. So it's going to be very cold. It's going to be very, very difficult. I'm scared of injuries here, muscle injuries. So Inter need to be able to manage and control and dictate the tempo of this game so that when they get to the San Siro, they can win that game. I don't want to see them try to go up and play some sort of weird high intensity, high press in minus 20 degrees. No.
Play basic, solid football. Yeah,
exactly. Control this game. If you score, you score. Don't concede.
And Juventus away at Galatasaray, very tough game, very tough, big, hot cauldron of a stadium, and they need to, try and get a draw out of that. And same for Atalanta, try and come away with a draw. I think Dortmund are definitely favourites to go through there, but let's see what they can do. Let's hope that the Italian teams can do something this week. And in the Europa League, we've got Bran versus Bologna, and Roma are already through to the last 16. And in the Europa Conference League, Fiorentina are playing, and they are away against Jagiellonia Białystok, who are a Polish team, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I just love that every time we talk about the Conference League, these names that I've never
made up names.
Yeah, it does feel like regen names, doesn't it?
Regen names, furniture stores, and yeah.
Which is why I like that tournament. I say that's why I like that tournament. It's like, it's new acquaintances and new experiences. I like that. I really like that tournament.
Right. Okay. Let's finish off with Baggio, Premface, and Serie ASS of the week. So Baggio, I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for all Italian sport other than football, because right now our football is in crisis. Our national team is a shambles. Our Serie A is a shambles, but we seem to be doing really well in all other sports. Our rugby team beat Scotland in the Six Nations and was so close to a historic win in Dublin against Ireland, who are one of the best rugby teams in the world. And I watched the game, played absolutely amazing. The Italy cricket team won in the Cricket World Cup, T20 World Cup. They won the first ever game that an Italy team has ever won in the Cricket World Cup. And Italy, there was a tweet that went viral that Italy have won as many cricket games as they have football games in the World Cup since 2006, which is quite ironic. And Italy play against England today in the Cricket World Cup, and it would be the biggest jokes ever if Italy were to actually win that game. I will just laugh so much. And then, of course, there's the Winter Olympics, which Italy are having a historically amazing Winter Olympics at the moment. They're second.
I have to go with Federica Bignone, because after the crash that she had, to come and win 2 gold medals is unbelievable. She, go on Google and see the crash that she had a while ago, and then to come back from that crash and win 2 Olympic gold. Like, wow.
Amazing, yeah. And they're doing so well, Italy. They're second in the medals table. Only Norway, who always smash it, don't they, in the Winter Olympics. Only they've got more gold medals. So it's So Italian sport is doing well. Tennis, look at us at tennis. We've got the one of the 2 best tennis players in the world, Yannick Sinner. We've got more top tennis players in the men's than anyone else. Have a look at us in how many great tennis players we have at the moment. Like, Italian sport is doing great at the moment, apart from the football. So what does that tell you? It tells you that it's not just a cultural country problem, that it's just like, well, everything in Italy is fucked at the moment. It tells you that actually there's something going wrong with our football, because if we're doing well in so many other sports but not football, then it's the football authorities that are the issue, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. The people who run Italian football have failed systematically for 2.5 decades now. There's really nothing much to say.
Yeah. Premface.
I don't know if this is new or not, but Nico Bins, our patron, sent this in. It's Jamie Carragher on CBS, and they've had a fantastic weekend, even by their low standards, just generally speaking. But I don't know if this is new, but Jamie Carragher they all will ask the greatest goalkeeper of all time, and Jamie Carragher goes Neville Southall.
I've heard him say this before, actually.
I don't know if this is new or not, but I actually like Neville Southall, both as a goalkeeper and as a person. I think he's a wonderful person. The work he does and how he wants to, about mental health and stuff. I think he was a good goalkeeper, but the greatest goalkeeper of all time? Like, what?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. Yeah. Scousers, they have some weird takes. Like that Liverpool journalist that said that Steve Nicol was the greatest player in the world in 1989. Like, that was never forget that one. Right. Serie ASS of the week. We've got 3 quite spectacular ones. So the first one is
we've been sent this one in from about 10 people, so I love it. So I can't say who sent it in because it's been like 10 people have sent it in. So please keep sending in Serie ASS and Premface.
Yeah, the Serie A lineup graphics on Cremonese versus Genoa. So Alexandro Amorim was making his debut for Genoa. He came on.
No, he didn't. Ruben Amorim did.
That's right. Yeah. So they used the graphic of the former Man United manager Ruben Amorim. The Serie A did. I mean,
Amorim, è uguale. Who cares?
Yeah, all the same. Yeah,
all the same.
My second Serie A is Fabiano Parisi. So people are having a go at Bastoni for diving. Have a look at what Fabiano Parisi did on Jadon Adai. Jadon Adai tickled him even less than Kalulu tickled Bastoni, and he throws himself to the floor, holding himself. It was embarrassing, and I actually think that Rocchi sort of has. If I can give Rocchi 1 point, you can probably say that the play acting and the diving has got out of hand to the extent that it does make it more difficult for referees. Absolutely makes it more difficult. It certainly makes the environment more difficult to referee in when you're getting players that are doing this kind of stuff. And Parisi, I mean, that's outrageous what Parisi did. I mean, that's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. And he's rightfully been hammered for what he's done, and because that's another level what Parisi did. So yeah. And finally, this was sent in by our listener Soska Sumihadi, and he says that ANTV have the Serie A rights in Indonesia. Now, they were promoting the Bologna versus Lazio game in the Coppa Italia. Now, on the promotion for the game, they had Ciro Immobile in a Lazio shirt, right? This is next level. This is Premfacery and Serie A-sery. This is both of them. So Ciro Immobile is in a Lazio shirt. Then they realized that they've made a terrible mistake, and they deleted the post. They then did a new post. Only Ciro Immobile wasn't in a Lazio shirt. He was in a Bologna shirt. And not only that, but Matteo Guendouzi was in a Lazio shirt. I mean, this I had to check this, that this was surely a parody. This had to have been some kind of joke. Yeah, it wasn't. It was actually real. Someone actually did this.
Yeah. I don't know what to say anymore. Like, this is where we are. This is where we are.
It's up there with some of the. It reminds me of when I was at goal.
I love the combination of Serie ASS and Baggio and Premface.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
I was going to say, when I was at goal, we had this one guy who used to make a lot of these kind of blunders, right? And there was a time when Arsenal was signing Andrea Shavin, right? Remember him? And Shavin, yeah. They bought him from Zenit St. Petersburg. And so the Arsenal director, Ken Fryer, his name was Ken Fryer. Remember that name, right? Was flying to St. Petersburg to negotiate the deal. And this guy wrote a story and put it as the headline and kind of like on the front page of the website as Arsenal director Barry Fry flies to St. Petersburg to negotiate a Shavin deal. And I'll never forget that, how funny that was. And then there was another one when I mean, this is a sad story, but also like funny. There was this reality star in England. I don't know whether you will have heard of her, but all our UK listeners will laugh at this. Her name was Jade Goody. Right, she was in like Big Brother. Like
I know her. Yeah, Jade Goody.
You know her?
Yeah, Jade
Goody. Yeah, Jade Goody. She was
in
one of these trash kind of reality TV shows like Big Brother and things like that. Right. Anyway, she tragically died at a young age of, I think it was ovarian cancer. Right. Very, very sad story. Right. And anyway, she died on the Friday, and then on the Saturday, Liverpool were playing, and Liverpool, before the game, held this minute silence. Now, for some bizarre reason, she has no connection with Liverpool at all. For some bizarre reason, this guy that was working for Goal, he wrote a story that Liverpool were holding a minute silence before the game for Jade Goody. And I read it because I was working at the time. And I was like, what?
Why?
Like, this like my first reaction is, what the fuck are you doing? But then I thought, right, let me check it. This just cannot be true. Why the fuck would Liverpool hold a minute silence to some random reality star? This just makes no sense at all. So I checked it out. And anyway, Liverpool were actually holding a minute silence to their groundsman, who'd been a groundsman for like 50 years, and he died that week. And somehow, I don't know how it happened, but he somehow put that they were holding a minute silence for Jade Goody. And, you know, like, you shouldn't laugh at it because it was such a tragic story. But I'll be honest, I laughed my head off.
Well, of course you did. It's funny. It's funny. It's like, you know, people like this thing. What is it you're laughing at? You're not laughing at her dying. You're laughing at the mix-up, because the mix-up is hilarious.
No, it's like BBC News when. Do you remember when BBC News when Kobe Bryant died again tragically? Yeah. And they did a news story. It's like it was their main news story on the news, on the BBC News. And throughout the entire news story, they had LeBron James throughout the entire news story. They were doing, you know, like when they had the images of the videos on the, you know, and it was LeBron James throughout the entire thing. And I couldn't stop laughing. I was just like, really? Like, how is this even possible? Like, oh my god.
Yeah. Oh dear. That's yeah.
So that brings back some memories of that.
Yeah, I bet it does. Yeah. It happens. Yeah, what are you gonna do? Oh dear. So now, yeah, so the rest of the week we got two I'm doing a post-match reaction for both of the Champions League games. And for all patrons, please do on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Oh,
because they're not Inter are playing on Wednesday, aren't they?
Okay, you're doing both. Okay, that's if you're happy to do that, yeah. I mean, okay.
Because they're playing both days, so I'm doing a post-match reaction on those, and then on Thursday,
you should do it in the snow. You should do it from the snow in outside in your garden.
It is so cold right now. Like, I can't even explain to you how cold it is. It's minus 19, 20. It is absolutely freezing right now. So yeah, no, it's very, very cold here. Canadians and Scandinavian listeners can relate. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, no. So I'm doing that, and then on Thursday the Q&A. So if you're a patron, make sure to send in your question by Tuesday latest tomorrow, so that we have time to prepare and all that stuff. And if you're not a patron, patreon.com/DIFP $3.99 a month. Or
and can I just say, and can I just add one thing? I know that obviously this show today between Juventus and Inter fans is going to create a lot of discussion, and I understand there's going to be a lot of angry messages, and there's going to be people doing insults. That's fine. We're not saying don't do that. All I'm saying is just when you leave your comments, just please really bad insults. Okay, if you want to do the odd insult, if you want to say, "Oh, Juventus are all cheaters," Calciopoli, if you want to say, "Oh, Inter are all cheaters," Morata League, that's fine. Like, we're not going to say no. You can't do that. You can do that as much as you want, but just be careful. Like, if you're going to insult me, or you're going to insult Nima, or you're going to say, certain comments, about where Chivu's from, let's just keep it clean. Yeah, no over the top stuff. I understand there's going to be a lot of Juventus fans angry, and I know your Inter fans are going to bark back, but just want to avoid that, because I've had some messages I've had some messages in the last day, and it's just like, I don't care, whatever, but it's just let's just keep it clean. Yeah, let's just keep it clean. That's what.
Behave like a human being. If you wouldn't say that to someone's face, then don't write it on the internet. Like, it's that simple.
Yeah,
like it's just insane. I mean, I guess I'm so used to this shit that they just water off a duck's ass.
No, but we can have some really good discussions going in our YouTube chat, and I'm sure we will. Yeah. But when people kind of start going over the top, then it ruins it, and I guess that's the same point that I was making about how we react to these things. Anyway, let's leave it at that. As Nima says, back in later in the week. Have a great week, everyone. Ciao, ciao.